Good morning, everyone. This week we begin reading the Torah from the beginning, and the opening sentence of the entire Torah is Bereshis bara Elokim. In the beginning, God created Et HaShamayim v'et ha'aretz, the heaven and the earth. Someone said that to believe that the world was not created, that the world occurred by accident, is the same likelihood of believing that the Webster Dictionary came about from an explosion in the printing press. It's practically impossible. There has to be a creator. So the question is not if God created the world, the question is why did God create the world? And here on the opening word of Bereshit, our Rabbi say that Bereshit, God created the world for the sake of that which came first, which preceded the world. What preceded the world? The Torah. And the rabbis say that just like a builder uses blueprints to build a building, God used the Torah as the blueprints for creation. Meaning that it's not that the Torah is to accommodate the world. The world is designed to accommodate the will and the desire of the Torah. In order to actualize God's plan, God had to create a world. But it's actually the world that is built according to the dictates of the blueprints of the world, which is the actual Torah. And so the question is, why did God create the world? And that's what we're going to start learning week after week until next Simchas Torah, what God's plan for creation is and why God created the world, and more importantly, why He created us in this world. There's a story told about Maimonides, famous rabbi, philosopher, scholar, doctor, that he had a friend who had trouble believing in God. So he said to him, I know you're a scientist, so you have a scientific mind, but you're also a great rabbi with great faith. I wish you could convince me, explain to me how you believe in God. So Maimonides said, fine, come to my house at this and this day, this and this time, we'll talk about God. The guy shows up, a colleague of Maimonides, an unbelieving colleague, and Maimonides is not home, so he steps inside the house, he's waiting at his desk for him to arrive. As he's sitting there, he's bored, so he sees a piece of paper with an essay. So he's curious, he starts reading it. All of a sudden, Maimonides comes in, he says, I'm sorry, I'm late, let's get to our conversation about God. And Maimonides says, let's talk about God. He says, before we talk about God, I was reading this paper on your desk. It's a brilliant, short article about some medical subject, and I was wondering who wrote it, because it doesn't have your name on it. Maimonides said, I didn't write it, I don't know how it even got here. He says, it was on your desk, tell me the truth, who wrote it? Maimonides said, I really don't know how it got here. It wasn't here when I left. And then Maimonides says, 1 second, I think I know what happened. I figured out. Maimonides left his window open and he left his inkwell tipped on the side. He said, there was a blank piece of paper here. There must have been a gust of wind. It tipped over my inkwell. The ink fell on the paper and it randomly, accidentally fell into place and formed these words and sentences and paragraphs and ideas. And this very brilliant man turned to my mind and said, do you think I'm a fool? I can believe something so ludicrous that ink could randomly fall on a blank piece of paper and form hundreds of letters and words and sentences? He says, listen to what you're saying. He says, how could you look at the universe with hundreds and billions of galaxies and stars and planets and billions of human beings and animals and creations? Just the human body alone has millions of details working in perfect harmony and synchronization. He says, you're not willing to believe that ink could fall on paper and by chance form a couple of 100 letters and words, but you're willing to look at the hundreds of billions of details that are perfectly running this world and say just everything fell into place. The whole body with all the details fell into place. And that was all the answer he had to give him. So the big debate really shouldn't be creation versus evolution. Even a child could look at the world and say, just like this building didn't happen by itself, the whole universe didn't happen by itself. The question really is, why did God create the world? What does God want from us? Why did God put us in this world? And instead of wasting time on the question of did God create us and put us here, let's focus on the real question. The difficult question is, what are God's expectations from us? What is God's desire for us to do in this world? And let us fulfill our purpose. But first we have to start studying the Torah, and we start all over again this week.